So welcome everyone to today's live session. I'm here with Vanessa Talbot, who is a fantastic woman that I've quite recently gotten to know. And Vanessa is a radiance, impact, and influence builder for coaches and change makers. So Vanessa, you are just simply focusing on working with people who want to make a change in the world and showing them how to step into the spotlight with what they're doing. Would you like to give us a little bit of a quick intro of yourself and let us get to know you a little bit better?
Yeah, so originally I started out with straight life coaching and then found that because I built my credentials quite a lot, I ended up mentoring at one of Australia's top coaching facilities and helping them develop their coaching skills. So not the coaching business, but the coaching skills.
Yeah.
And I got disappointed in the fact that so many of the people going through it just couldn't get clients. And at the time I was working with a celebrity, at the same time Olympic athletes as well. And I thought, what if everything I was doing with this celeb and getting him out there known, we had him over in the US and all over the place and in this and that magazine. And then I thought, what if all coaches had to do was get themselves known, and then they would find it so much easier to attract the right type of clients to them? Because I found that for most of the coaches that couldn't get clients, no matter, we were putting out, and there's so many coaches out there with absolutely amazing coaching skills. So it wasn't for lack of the fact that they couldn't coach. They were amazing coaches. They could coach. I know they could coach because I taught them how to.
Right.
And I found also too that I absolutely loved working with coaches. I loved the big visions they had. I loved the big intentions they had. I loved the good that they wanted to do as well. So for me, it was just like everything that we're doing with these celebs, let's apply that to coaches and get coaches used to the idea that the more they step out and people start to know who they are, the easier their business building is going to be.
Right. That makes an awful lot of sense. And, as a coach or seasoned mentor myself, I can so testify to all of that being true. And also, we're going to bring in a little bit of introvert/introspective person's approach today, because, as an introverted person myself, especially doing those outward turning activities where you actually invite the people to come into your business as clients, that can be very challenging for introverts, introspective people. It's and not just introverts and introspectives, anybody, because I don't know anybody who hasn't gone through coaching or mentoring course who doesn't feel like a bit of a fraud, initially when you're learning to do coaching or learning to do mentoring, and you kind of feel like, well, I don't know everything, so therefore I shouldn't advertise, I shouldn't kind of, have this trepidation in stepping into the spotlight, so to speak. I'm sure you've come across a lot of this in your line of work.
Yeah, and who's to say we didn't do it ourselves either?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a massive introvert. In fact, not just introvert, but completely shy as well, and actually quite a hermit. So you can't really get me off my property very much. I like to be on my property with my horses and my animals and that. So you could actually call me a bona fide hermit as well, not just introverted. So I'm kind of at that very extreme level of all this. So I always say, look, to be honest, if someone like me can actually build up their visibility and get used to actually putting ourselves in front of our ideal market, anyone else can.
Right. And so now you've realized what the things are, realized what the activities are, and you've from building your own business, you went like, you know what, people need to know about this. And so you've created like various different products or various different services that you have available for people to do exactly that, to step into the spotlight.
Yeah.
What would be your kind of, what are your favorite tools to use, so to speak? So not to give away everything. We don't, unfortunately, have time for everything to get all the information, but what are your like favorite top tips in people who want to be seen?
So the first thing, and hi Jill. Jill just popped on and said hello to us, so I'm just saying hi back.
Hey,
My
Jill.
my absolute top tip would be, I find for a lot of people, whether you are actually introverted, extroverted, or sitting in the middle there, how a lot of people do like to sit.
Yeah.
One of the problems with people being worried about putting themselves out there and also having that fraudster thing going on is that they aren't really completely sure of who they are and what they want to give and present to the world.
Right.
Yeah. And so then it's hard for them, because if you don't really know who am I really, it's going to be really hard to put yourself out there, and all that stuff is going to go through your head. I'm a fraud. Nobody's going to pay me any attention, all this sort of stuff. So the first thing is to get absolutely clear on what you are about and what you can do for others. And by that, I mean that one thing. So I find with a lot of coaches, particularly life coaches, is that they're trying to be everything for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And they do resist the idea of niching. And I tend to avoid that niche word because it frightens a lot of people. And I say, let's bring it down to, what's your one special area of genius?
Mm.
It's the same thing. It's niching, but let's call it something else so it's a bit more exciting.
Right. Inaccessible.
And that special zone of brilliance, that's actually where you shine. And when you hit that, then it's very hard to dim your light, very hard. So you've got to step into that one thing where you know, this is my special area of brilliance. And of course, if you're the life coach who's trying to be everything, the relationship, the parenting coach, the this and that, and taking everything, think about what's that one special thing that I can do for all of them. And it may be, it may be that you are really good at, for example, changing their beliefs around something into something more positive.
Yeah.
So take the fact that you're not a life coach, but say my special zone of brilliance is I'm able to turn around what's not working for you and turn it around in a way that's positive and will build your life in the way that you want it to.
Perfect. Yeah, I can really relate to that because, like, I specialize in helping people make really good decisions. And so I can work with, the mentoring training students. I can work with corporates over here. I can work with, IT people over there, or an old folks home owner, on the coast. So there's absolutely what you're saying. I hear you so much, and I couldn't echo that anymore, because that's just fantastic. It's, your audience doesn't have to be just women under 30, and because yes, women under 30 have certain similar experiences in life generally, but then at the same time, everyone's such an individual. It's more about what I've noticed is it's more about knowing the exact thing, as you said, in how you can help them in whatever life circumstance they are. That's fantastic.
So I worry less about the demographics and more about what is that one thing that everyone's going to say, that's what you're all about. And so for example, for you, Merja, when someone wants to make really good decisions, they know you're the lady to help them with that, and they're going to go straight for you. So it's less about what age they are and all this sort of stuff, but more about that problem that is your zone of genius to fix.
Absolutely.
And that will make the difference. That will make an absolute difference when you step into not my niche is blah, 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 but this is my zone of brilliance, and step into that. And you can already feel the raise in energy and confidence just from doing that. Definitely.
And the confidence, especially for people who are starting out, can be a real tripping point. And I often say, when people are talking about having this feeling like they're a fraud and all this, it's like, what I say to these people is just tap into what you're really competent at. Just kind of draw, like put your spoon into the pool of confidence and take it, take it from there. And start with that, and then start expanding, your different, add things into it, but always start with that, what you really are confident and competent at.
Yeah. So for me, that's kind of how I got started. I just realized that I was really good at helping coaches more so than I was with my old area, which was like, women over 40 who suddenly their kids are all growing up and gone away and they feel disillusioned and lost with life.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm really no good at helping these people. And then I got in with the coaches, and then I just realized I was an absolute gun at helping them realize the different ways that they could actually grow their profile. And by grow their profile, if you want to use it in the old-fashioned word, it's visibility.
Right. Precisely.
Mm.
So let's kind of go into like a very basic question, something I really love asking you, and I've been thinking about this and I've been waiting to hear your answer on. Why do people need to make themselves feel? Like, why is it important that people see you? Really, like, if you're a coach, isn't it just enough that you're a good coach? Why do you need to be seen? What if I feel uncomfortable putting myself out there? Why do I have to do it?
Nobody knows who you are and what you can do for them. They can't hire you. So you lose out, they lose out. And that's the simple fact of it. If you're hiding away in your home office and nobody knows that you're out there, how can they possibly find you, hire you? Or you got to spend an awful lot of money on trying to reach them through advertising methods.
Right.
And advertising is a way of boosting visibility, but there are other ways as well. But that's a simple fact.
Yeah.
You can be the world's best coach in the world, but if nobody knows that,
Yeah. Yeah.
you won't have a coaching business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's very important not only just to get known, this is not just this ego thing of becoming, a name famous coach.
Yeah.
It is about being known for what your, as we talked about before, your special area of brilliance is. Because then when it's kind of like, it's like that special brain specialist that you have to go to, or that heart specialist. You've got to be known in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I find also from my personal experience, advertising is fine. But the challenge with advertising is that you don't know what works. You end up using a lot of time. So you can build your business and your profile through advertising alone, but it will take at least 6 to 12 months to actually find out what works for the audience. So to me, when I'm looking at what you're doing, this kind of work that you're doing, I feel like it's a shortcut to success. Rather than relying on the old style of marketing, which is advertising. And of course, sorry, go on.
I was just going to agree with you in that sense. And as I said, of course, advertising will always work. But just imagine if you could do it in other ways where you didn't have to invest so much money into advertising. So you can still put some money into advertising and getting leads. Like Facebook ads is always a great avenue.
Yeah.
But imagine if you had other stuff as well that was doing the work for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just being, I find with, and this is something I teach my mentoring students as well, that just having your profile up and running, that you've set your profile up. I love your 41 steps to building your profile, by the way. I love that. Anybody who doesn't have that, you should go on to vanessatalbot.com and just sign up for it. It's a fantastic list of things that you can do to get your profile up and running. And once that's up and running, it's a lot easier to even approach, to look for partnerships, to look for, JVs, what we call KPs, Cocos partners, which is this different, like a deeper form of JV. Basically, your relationship marketing all of a sudden opens up. Because now, you can say, hey, I do this. Here's my profile. I can, my LinkedIn profile's up to date. I can go and, contact people on LinkedIn. They'll see straight up, what's going on there. And they can say, yeah, this could be interesting. I even got like the very first thing when I updated my LinkedIn profile was I got an invitation to speak at the Australian Management Institute event. And you know what I mean? It's just incredible. And that's the kind of power that the kind of work that you do, Vanessa, has. When you do those things and when you really like just up your profile, have somebody else to tell you what you should be doing and kind of in what order, and stop overthinking, and this is particularly for our introverts and introspectives. Stop overthinking and going like, oh, I don't know, what should I do, this, should I do that? Go to Vanessa's website, grab that 41 steps and just do them. Tick them off. Just do it. So little plug there in for your business, but it's
yes,
just
thank you.
but I was so excited when I came across your work. I was so excited when I got that 41 steps, and I just started ticking them off, and I'm like, yeah, I have that. Yeah, I have that. And then there's certain items that you go, you know what, I've kind of done that, but I haven't done it like this. So yeah.
Yeah, and it is there just as a prompter, like to go back to your basics, look at them, see what you need to fix up. And even then some of the stuff is, oh, okay, I haven't done that yet. Maybe I need to do that. So
yeah,
not like you might have to take all 41 steps, but you can certainly move your way through them and see which ones are appropriate for you.
Exactly. So let's change gears a little bit. You're an introvert as well, self-proclaimed hermit. Why do you think that introverts and hermits and introspective people have such a hard time? Like, what have you noticed in your experience? Why do we have such a hard time stepping into the spotlight?
Well, I just found for me there was this idea that I didn't want to be famous. I didn't want all eyes on me, for starters. So you'll resist this, getting out there in case there's too many eyes on you. I think introverts, and also the other thing about introverts, of course, is that when we're out there and there's a lot of people around us, the fact is, this is a fact, the more your audience and your profile grows, the more you'll get other invitations. So not necessarily from possible clients, but other invitations like you were talking about, Merja, for collaborations, be a summit guest, come and speak, you name it. They all start coming through. And I remember getting to the point that I would open up. I was actually avoiding my messenger because there's too much coming at me. And I think that's for introverts. Like, we're different. Extroverts love that because they thrive on it. Well, introverts, we need to recharge our energy, as they say, in our own alone time. So if you've got too much of these other people and energies coming at you, it can almost wear you down. And that's what I found happening. So I had to put in stop gaps and things in place, like get my business manager to handle all that. Remember, I said to you, just before this call, I said, where's the link? And you said, oh, I sent you an email. Like, oh, yeah, I don't even answer my emails.
Yeah, right.
Because even emails is too much for me if I've got to go and check my emails every day.
Yeah.
And I'm probably a very extreme version of it.
Right.
So I think we tend to avoid, putting ourselves out into the spotlight so that we don't have a lot of that attention on us, a lot of those people coming at us all the time as well.
Yeah.
And introverts sometimes, quite a few times, they're naturally shy as well. I know there's a difference between shyness and introversion.
Sure.
But they can be naturally shy as well, like I am. So that comes into play as well. So there's those things at play. And I think to do it well, you've got to do it just a little bit differently than the extroverts do.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And especially that whole, something I like to say to a lot of introverts is your strengths are not in being an extroverted person. So let's round up your extroversion so that you can cope. But don't expect to run your business like an extrovert would run their business. It's just a recipe for disaster. And because extroverts and introverts need such different things. So I couldn't agree with that more. And in fact, through my own 4 people within work, where we round all the different aspects of you together, so that you have this ability to access the extroverted parts of you and use them to your advantage, and then but really respect that you are an introvert or an introspective extrovert. So you need to have the introspective time in order to really in a way justify for yourself, or integrate or reconcile the information that's coming at you. then you need to really respect that. You can't, don't expect yourself to do something that's not in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, exactly. There was a couple of things that I did when I started out, and I realized, because the thing I did first was I wrote a book, and
Right.
I put the book out there, and
Yeah.
the first print run did pretty well, actually. We sold quite a lot of reasonable amount of copies.
Yeah.
And I started realizing, if I want to sell more and more of this book, as much as I didn't want to do all this publicity stuff, I had to get out and do the publicity.
Yeah.
So it came down to the fact that I had to reach deep inside of myself and find that part of me that was attached to that greater mission. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So then
Mhm.
my introversion no longer becomes an issue. For example, when this is really funny, when I go to like network meetings, and I would rarely go because I'm too shy, and I'm always the one that's around the walls at the side, not in the middle with everyone else, but
Yeah.
clinging to the walls,
Yeah. Yeah.
hoping someone will come and talk to me, because I'm usually too shy to go and approach anyone. And I remember a couple of events that I've been speaking at, and I would go into the room and be that shy person that's kind of avoiding everyone talking. You can see people looking at me because they don't know that I'm the main speaker,
Right.
probably not recognizing me or something like that, because I'm so shy and they can tell
Yeah.
I'm nervous and everything like that. And nobody takes much notice of you.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you hit the stage. And then all of a sudden, when you hit that stage, it's all eyes on you. And it's like this bigger mission. I'm here to show these coaches what they can do.
Yeah.
Takes over.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Beyonce and her Sasha
Yeah. Yeah.
when she's
I was
on
just
stage.
thinking.
Yeah.
She's a perfect example. She's such a
Yes.
different person on stage than in
Than
private
in
life.
person.
Yeah.
And I am too. So when I take this stage, all of a sudden I'm like,
Yeah.
and then after the events, when everyone realizes, oh, that's that shy little thing that was hanging around the back and wouldn't talk to anyone or wouldn't look at us. And then you come off the stage and they're all clamoring to you, where before they wouldn't have a bar of you.
Right.
So it's always really, really interesting to watch that at work, when you just access that, your own Sasha Fierce, which is really, what are you here for? And
Yeah.
are you going to let the fact that your introversion is there get in the way of that? So
Yeah.
when I'm on stage or I'm doing this, as you can see, I'm on a mission.
Yeah.
And so everything else goes out the door. But the minute I'm off the stage, or the minute I finish on this, I'll go back to being really quiet, really introspective, all that sort of stuff. So I think everyone can find that within themselves, but it might take a little bit of practice to actually access it and make it happen.
For sure, for sure. And do you, by the way, just as a matter of interest, because I don't think I've asked this of you before in our conversations, do you run like anything that could help people find out what their mission is? Is that something that you help people with yourself, or how do you?
I would be in any of my programs or anything like that. We're always got to tap in what I call the foundational work.
Okay.
So whether it's, something about whether you're starting your Facebook group, because I don't know if you know Mary, but I've got the Facebook group Magicians, which is for those that want to build their audience through a
Okay.
Facebook group.
Right.
But people think that then goes, okay, well, what's the main purpose of this group? Which a lot of people start Facebook groups and they're missing that purpose.
Yes.
And I think if you are stuck with really knowing what your mission purpose is, I think good old one-on-one coaching work will bring that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
More than anything.
Yeah, right. Because the focus is, as we talked about before, essential. If you know that you're helping people make good decisions, now all of a sudden you're going to take a different approach than if you're, or you're going to be having like a different flavor to your group than, say, women under 30 who, do you know what I mean? Like it just becomes this whole entity on which you build your platform.
Yeah. So yeah, I said, if you're really stuck in that area, I can't get past good old one-to-one coaching. And it was good old one-to-one coaching in my early days when I first started, that they actually forced me out to a network meeting, for example.
Yeah.
made me do those steps that I was too scared to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it was having a one-to-one coach who made me do the things that I needed to do to get out there.
Yeah. Accountability. There's nothing like it.
Accountability. Yeah. So did you go to that network meeting, Vanessa, that you promised? Well, yes, I did, because I know I've got you on my back. But if you weren't on my back, I probably would have just liked it and said, no, I'd rather stay home because I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
Which would, I mean, this is how bad I am. I won the Banjo Business Awards out here a couple of years ago. So I won the 2 top awards there. So most outstanding lifestyle business, and then something best new business or something at the time. So it's probably a couple of years ago. And I didn't even want to go to the awards night. In fact, I remember not going to the announcement night, even though I knew my name was going to be called. I was thinking, I don't want to be bothered. And then the night of the awards, when I was supposed to be picking up my awards, and I had 2. Most people don't get 2. They might get 1 on that. I remember deciding about an hour before that I was actually had better go.
Right.
And so I didn't have a dress. I didn't have anything. So I pulled out a dress from my wardrobe, threw that on, got in my car. I was about half an hour late. I got there just as they were calling my name. Because I was sitting there going, I just don't want to go this. I don't want to be up on that stage. I don't want to do this. I don't want to. So, and we're hurting ourselves really, because by being there, I was made to sit at a table with other people who I'd never met before, and they all started to get more interested in what I was doing and who I am, which before, they didn't really have the chance to know me. So I think we hurt ourselves a lot with our introversion, in terms of, especially if you're shy as well and not wanting to go out.
Yeah, definitely. I could not agree with that any more than like 110%. Let's just say it that way. So you have one of the groups that I'm a part of, one of your groups, is for coaches, for stepping into the spotlight, and for change makers to step into the spotlight. And you have over 17,000 members in that group on Facebook. Yep. So would you say that from your experience in that, because you have a larger scale group than most people will probably ever have, or even if you're doing one-to-one coaching, you don't need to have that large a group, if you're working with the general public and you're niched down to a nice, so you know exactly what you're specializing in, and then you build a group where people can interact and you can share your expertise and your experience in. So with the group size like that, I would guess then that one of the things that you specialize in is growing your Facebook groups.
Yes. That is, to me, one of the best ways to actually build an audience easily, because Facebook help you out. Facebook can send you up to 20. If you've got a group that's on Facebook's radar, they can be sending you up to 20, sometimes even 100 new group members a day.
Right.
Yeah. So if you can get it to the point where Facebook's doing the work for you, it is and you don't have to spend a cent. I'm not talking about spending on Facebook ads. No. I'm talking about Facebook saying, because Facebook's very community orientated.
Yes.
So they love their groups because it's a way of keeping people together, which is Facebook's motto, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they actually help group owners out. If your group is engaged, they're going to help you out. If your group is not, you're not going to get any help at all. It's the same as, Facebook are just engagement focused.
Right. And by engagement, what do you mean?
People coming into the group and commenting, posting, interacting. That is engagement.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's if you put something in your group, Facebook not only measure the comments, they'll measure the likes as well.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I actually got a question from somebody who couldn't make this call, and it's relating to this. Are you okay to take this question?
absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so she says, how can I stand out and get people to engage more in my Facebook group? I have a great group of people, but I find it difficult to get them to engage with me. There are a few that will consistently engage with me, but most members are silent.
Yep. So one thing you've got to realize, and for anyone who's wondering about their Facebook groups, probably the easiest place to start is hop into my group and just hashtag spark up your FB challenge. I mean group challenge. So that's spark up your Facebook group challenge, because I do the first 5 days and it's really easy then to understand what you're doing.
Right.
But aside from that, which is all that foundational stuff, if we're just talking the fact that we want to get our group engaged, there's a lot more to growing your group. Like, we have so many tricks up our sleeves to actually grow our group without spending a cent on it. But if we're just saying, I just want to get people to come in and engage in my group, you know, we've got a core percentage, which is what happens in most groups, by the way, so you're not alone. It is essentially what happens.
Yep.
What you've got to understand is there's about 6 reasons that people come into Facebook groups for.
Okay.
Okay, so when you understand those 6 reasons, you have to say, well, which are the main reasons people are in my group for?
Mm-hmm.
And then you create the type of posts for those reasons. So I'll give you an example. For example, someone might be in their group, if they're in business groups, to procure clients. That's the main reason why people are in groups. And then you'll have a percentage of the people that might be in there because they want to learn. Okay, and then you might have another percentage of people who are in there because, for example, in relationship groups, they want someone to talk to, they want support. So there are 6 whole reasons. I won't go through them all, but you kind of get an understanding of what's going on with there. So you work out, well, what are the main people who are in my groups for? Out of those 6 reasons, which are the main ones? And then you start to create questions and content around those reasons.
Right.
Understand why they are in your group, you will then know what they'll respond to. So for most people, it's stabbing at the dark, in the dark.
Yeah.
So understand your people, and one of the best ways to do that, if you haven't already got it set up, is to make sure that you use those 3 questions. You know, the entry questions when people ask to come in. Yeah. Those entry questions are really, really great. And you can find out information there. You can find out, you can ask a question like, what are you hoping for from being a member in this group?
Yeah.
Just a simple question like that. And then aside from that, you've also got to understand the different layers that people come into groups as well. So you'll always have the silent majority.
Yes.
And if we remember, as coaches, we realize this, right? So if you're a coach, you've actually got an upper hand because you understand the human mind. So you've actually got an upper hand over your group than someone, for example, who has a group, but they don't know all this mindset work.
Yeah.
But if you understand that the majority of people are feeling not good enough, you'll understand that with the big groups like mine, and of course mine's 17,000, there's way bigger groups than that. Big groups become intimidating.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So if I were to ask too many questions around that people have got to show their expertise, I'm going to get the same experts in there commenting all the time. Right. Yeah. So I've got to make sure I jazz it up. So yes, the experts are in there to show off. They want people to know that they're good at this.
That they know.
That they know. So we have to provide, some questions or a few questions in there that are controversial maybe, so they can have their opinion.
Yeah.
But there's that good percentage of people that are feeling exactly what we know, that they feel not good enough, worried that they're going to get some judgment. So you also have to have up your sleeve the no judgment questions. What's your favorite movie? Where do you live? All these questions that contain no judgment, no backlash, they are really super easy, and that will bring your people out of the woodwork that are not going to answer your expert questions, your controversy questions, your what's your opinion questions.
Right.
They belong to a certain segment. So know who's making up your group, and create your content and your questions knowing exactly who's in there and what they want from it.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And what kind of controversial posts have you used?
Yeah, I always do mine with a sense of humor. And the reason is, and not putting any other groups down, but I find some groups, particularly those that are very heavily masculine orientated, get a little bit too heavy on the debate and the opinion and the authority for my liking.
Right.
So I'll keep it a little bit more lighter, because that's just me. That's my vibe. That's the vibe I prefer. I myself personally don't like playing in the very, very heavy business groups.
Right.
So I'll say fun things like, I'm just trying to think of something off the top of my head that I did recently. I might make comments about who needs a Lamborghini to show how good a coach they are.
Perfect.
What else have I made comments about? Things like this saying, you know, there's a lot of experts, there's a lot of big names out there where the only way is their way or else.
Yeah.
Yep. And so you must be up at 5 a.m. or else you'll never be a success.
Yeah.
BS, you know, like, and so I'll call it on things like that I personally think is just rubbish in our industry.
Right. My favorite is fake it till you make it. And
that's another one.
Just don't fake it. People are going to find out. And your reputation's ruined. Just get competent and start working with that, you know.
Yeah. And
I think for you and I both, what's more important in the business than money, because, you know, you were joking about the Lamborghini, is you know, the question always becomes, the question that I ask often is, how much money do you actually need to be comfortable? Like, what is that? So it doesn't have to be 100 million. It can be 100 million if you're looking to do, say, peer-to-peer financing and make an impact that way. So that's fine. Nothing wrong with 100 million. But the question is, how much money do you actually need?
Yeah. People are modeling themselves on these successes that have different visions at the end of the day. And so they're just saying that's how I need to be, without realizing that it's not going to fit them. Yeah. So that person might like getting up at 5 a.m. and working till midnight and having no family life. Yeah. But for me, that's not going to work for me. So I'm not even going to attempt to do it. And you can tell me that that's the only way for success or you like, I'll show you differently. Yeah. Because I don't crawl out of bed till 9 most days. Yeah. I don't work till midday because I spend the morning with my horses and that. And then I'm knocking off at 4 so I can be with my daughter, because we go out and, again, do stuff with the animals. Yeah. So to me, you know, my vision for how I'm going to craft my business is going to be very different than some of those. That's right. And I would like to ask everyone who's tuning in, just put down into the comment section or into the chat window what your kind of lifestyle as a coach or a change maker would look like, if, you know, because you can choose this. You just have to be smart in how you build it. And for myself, I actually do get up at 4:45 in the morning, because that works for me, because I'm a morning person. But I don't tell people you have to get up at 5 so that you'll be successful. How I work is I get up at about quarter to 5-ish, go for a run for about 15 minutes, and then I kind of relax and you know, shower and get ready for the work. Then I usually start working at 5:30 in the morning. I work until about 8. Then I have breakfast. Take the dogs out, go play with the horses. That's something you and I have in common. And then, you know, stay there, come home for lunch for like 1 o'clock, and then to do another
2 or 3 hours of work from then on. And so I average about, I try not to work more than 6 hours a day, because I think that 6 hours should be enough if you play smart, because I don't need to have $100 million in my bank account. I'm very comfortable with what I have, and it's perfect for me. And so so it's, every person's business in this change making is going to look different. So just, if you just write down into the chat or into the comments section, what do you want your day to look like on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, and I think it's really important to know. Otherwise, you're getting guided by people who are on different missions and paths than you.
Yeah.
And that's really, really important not to do. I had to, I'll be really honest, I had to pull the head in of one of my own clients, young man, the other day, because he had set up a landing page.
Yeah.
So we opted in, and then he sets up his thank you page as well. And
Right.
then he did the video. And the video just was, I don't know what happened to him, but he's just modeled someone else. So it was very aggressive salesy.
Right.
And I said, well, why did you do that? Because that's not you. You'll frighten your particular market away. And
right.
You're an alchemist and a humanitarian. That's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I just thought that's how you had to do it. No, you will actually frighten away your particular right people, and you end up with a whole lot of clients who you won't like to work with because they're not the right fit. So it's about really knowing who you are, how you want things to be, and then creating your success strategy around that. So that's why with Step in the Spotlight, the work that I do, I don't say this is the only way to get known. So some people will say, well, you've got to get out and do live speaking and events, and then other people will tell you something else, and other people will tell you something else from that again. And what I'll say is, what do you like best? Where are your target market?
Yeah.
And what's your special zone of brilliance? And let's get you in 2 or 3 things.
Yeah.
And work a strategy on those.
Yeah.
So, like everyone says, everyone jumped onto Instagram.
Yeah.
But, Instagram only works for some people.
If you don't love it, why do it?
Why do it?
Yeah.
I don't particularly like LinkedIn. Even though I know my target market is on there, I don't particularly like it, and I'm not particularly good at it. I'm an ace at Facebook groups.
Yes.
I'm not even an ace at my Facebook business page. I'm hopeless on my Facebook business page. But in terms of getting a community to knit together with a common goal, I'm actually really good at that. So I create, I know my special zone as genius is one of them is that.
Yeah.
So it's about tapping into what you're good at and really using those talents you've got in that area to grow your presence and get known.
Yeah, exactly. That's fantastic. And also, like, for my end, being an introvert, and this is something that blows people's minds often, they don't understand how this is possible. And I don't know many people who are like me. I love public speaking. I can just public speak forever. And we actually had to, because I had some PTSD challenges last year, so I wasn't able to actually go and speak at events, because I was only able to do maybe 2.5 hours to 4 hours of work a day. So it just travel was too much for me. So I started doing a lot more online. So speaking online, doing videos, doing Facebook Lives, those kinds of things. So really, I want to echo what you, Vanessa, were saying there. Just find what works for you and do that. It's just fantastic to there are so many different things that you could be doing. And I remember vividly somebody telling me once, all you have to do is just write a blog every day of the week, 5 blogs a week, and you're fine. And I'm here sitting going like, I'm dyslexic. I can't read what I've written. So I don't think so. So if I can get 1 blog out, that's like a week or every couple of weeks, that's great. But how we actually do the blogs now is I do a Facebook Live on Q&A, and then those get transcribed, and then we post. Somebody else does all the other stuff. I just show up and answer questions.
Yep. And it is very much about that. So you don't necessarily have to listen to the advice that, you must do this amount. I saw some really bad advice in another big group on Facebook saying that you had to be everywhere You don't
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
be everywhere.
No, no,
You don't
especially
have to be,
introverts.
yeah, like you drive you insane.
Yeah,
And so, you know, things like this, just know you. And as I said, I do think if you are struggling with knowing you,
yeah,
or struggling with where your people are at, do get a coach who is specialized in that area of messaging to marketing and in
yeah,
getting known, so that you can attract clients
yeah,
in the way that I do, because they're able to say, well, I know your market. These are the avenues that usually work for that particular target market.
yeah,
Let's find out of those which ones you're good at, and then we'll focus on those.
yeah.
And you know, I don't mind public speaking either, which is strange for us introverts. But as I said, you get to the stage and then you become this different person in
Yeah,
this. But for me, it doesn't work, and that's because you can't get me off my country property.
right.
So I don't
Yeah,
really want to be traveling, and yet I've got one particular client who is now traveling all around the world doing workshops and speaking events and putting
yeah,
on retreats and that, because that was the aim, that was the goal. So
yeah,
that's happening.
yes,
So knowing, you know, what you want out of
yeah,
it is the most important thing of all,
yeah,
rather than following blindly down the paths of others.
yeah.
Have a different lifestyle mission, different everything mission to you.
Exactly, exactly. Katka is saying, ladies, you are great. Thank you. Exactly. Why to have an Instagram account just because everybody says that I should have one? And also, so absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
And also, she says, Merja, that is how I found you. I prefer one meaningful blog post per month to 20 posts per month just because I need to show activity. Precisely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
So Lisa is talking about her preferred lifestyle, and she's talking about and Lisa is one of my mentoring students. So this is thank you, Lisa, for posting this. I will be going back and forth between London and New York and running my business. It's important for me to spend a lot of time with my family in New York City. However, I love the independence of being in London. How perfect is that?
It does sound good.
Yeah. And Jacqueline is saying, I want to have 3 clients per week and the rest of the week off. I'll make video content for personal development, drawing for a few hours a day, every day, work on my novel, and then I'll only work maximum 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'll have to travel abroad at least once every 2 months. Love
Well,
it.
lucky you.
Yeah. Love this. I could talk to you forever, but we should start wrapping things up. Do you have any kind of final golden nugget pieces of information, wisdom that you'd like to share with us today? What's your one thing that will make you successful in your experience?
Well, apart from all the things that I've said, which will all work, I would have to say you have to get brave and you have to take some risks, because as you know, as introverts, we need to step out of our comfort zone. And in any way, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert or the ambiverts in the middle, as they like to term them, it doesn't matter. The fact is that when you put yourself out into the spotlight, you are having people look at you, and
Yes.
not everyone is going to like you.
Yes.
Not everyone is going to agree with what you say. So you have to put your brave shoes on, and you have to be brave.
Yeah.
Because what I've found unfortunately happen is I've seen coaches say, okay, well, I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to make these posts, and they make a post that perhaps is a little bit controversial or someone doesn't agree with it.
Yeah.
And rather than the 20 comments that said, yes, I totally agree with you, great post, they'll focus on the one that says, I don't agree with this because blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so focus more on the positive feedback that you're getting, and refuse to acknowledge the other stuff, because there will always be someone who's going to tell you why you're wrong.
Absolutely. And that person who is telling you that you're wrong is never going to buy anything from you.
Never.
So focus on serving the people who actually agree with where you're coming from. I once heard this amazing, I think it was Brené Brown that said, if you're not, so if you don't want to, if you wouldn't ask for advice of somebody who's giving you criticism, if you wouldn't ask advice of them, don't accept the criticism either. So you only kind of accept criticism from people that you really respect and that you hold to high esteem, that you can trust that they're not just criticizing you to make a point.
And those people would never criticize you. They'd give you positive feedback to work on. They would never criticize. So I always say, exactly like you said, that that person's never going to buy from you. So to me, they become irrelevant. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to build a relationship with them.
No.
And we're not going to work together in the future either.
No.
So to me, what they're saying becomes irrelevant. So I don't actually care if they disagree with me.
Yeah.
And you know me, Merja, on my personal page, I'm actually quite outspoken on animal welfare and stuff like that. So I get a lot of people who are not in agreement with me. And this is where you tap into your mission. Your mission has to be bigger than any of your fears.
Yeah, and feedback from others. Your mission has to completely obliterate whatever anybody else has to say about what you're doing.
Yeah, I was working with a very outspoken celebrity. He had a massive Twitter following, and he was quite political and outspoken. And he was the one that told me, because he would get, he had people following him just so they could disagree with him.
Yeah. I've actually had that experience too.
Because he was known for his outspokenness. And he taught me that no matter what they say, he said, don't pull them down in return. Just acknowledge that that's what they've said. Okay, thank you for your thoughts.
Yeah.
But make sure that you do not that you don't change your opinion.
Yes.
You have to be known for your stance, and you've got to stand by that. So the minute that someone comes in and that criticism starts to sway you, then you will actually lose the other followers who are agreeance with you.
Absolutely.
You have to stay strong for them.
Yeah, people need to know if they're going to be standing behind you, they need to know that you're not just going to dodge the bullet. They need to know that you are there. So everyone, write down one thing, the main thing you took away from today's session. Just pop it into the chat or into the comment section, and because we'd love to hear what worked for you from today's session and what didn't. I could just keep, as I said, I could just keep going.
I know, we do tend to talk.
For two introverts, it's pretty funny. One thing I would like to just invite everyone while we're waiting for the comments to come in is just to, we're going to be sending out this recording to you. We have, I think 22 or 23 people registered for this, but unfortunately, because we're both in Australia and a lot of our people are in the US or in Europe, it can be a little bit tricky for the time. But we're looking forward to hearing the feedback from those who have registered for the recording as well. You will be getting the recording. I'm just going to tidy it up a little bit from the start, probably from the finish. We'll see, whatever. But you will be getting a recording of this session in the next couple of days. And I'd like to invite you to absolutely go on over to vanessatalbot.com and sign up for the 41 steps. Lisa is saying right now, looking up Vanessa's 41 steps is next on my list. Perfect. Leandri is saying, I need to put my brave shoes on and decide to become known and visible. Yeah, very nice. Katka is saying, be authentic, do it the way that suits you and your needs most. Fantastic. Yeah. And Jacqueline is saying your mission has to be bigger than any of your fears. I absolutely love this statement. It's so important to realize that we have to stand behind our mission and our message to make a difference in the lives of others. And on that note, that is so beautiful. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for your expertise, for your time, and thanks for letting us, thanks for coming out of the hermiting a little bit to speak with us today. And we'll hopefully we'll be in touch with you soon and maybe do a little follow-up work at some stage. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you for the experience that you're giving to people and for all of your expertise that you're sharing with us all. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.